Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into a statement from Xbox President Sarah Bond that's creating waves across the gaming industry. Bond recently said that platform exclusive games are antiquated, and this has raised a lot of eyebrows because exclusives have historically been one of the most significant factors in shaping the console landscape. Think about it, console exclusive games were more than just software, they were identity statements. They were the reason people chose one console over another. A PlayStation fan could argue that God of War or The Last of Us justified their purchase, while an Xbox player could point to Halo or Gears of War as the defining reason they invested in the hardware. These exclusive titles weren't just games, they were the centerpieces of entire ecosystems, giving consoles their unique identities and driving hardware sales. They forced gamers to make a choice. They created loyalty, debate, and sometimes even rivalry between fan bases. Exclusives were the fuel that powered the console war for decades. Without them, there's less differentiation, less of a reason to commit fully to one system, and less of the narrative that makes choosing a console such a personal decision. Bond's comments, though bold, reflect a larger shift in how gaming companies, and Xbox in particular, are approaching the market. She said that the idea of locking a game to one store or one device is antiquated, pointing to the fact that games like Minecraft, Fortnite, Roblox, and Call of Duty are now accessible across multiple platforms. This cross-platform approach allows friends to play together regardless of which console they own, and it signals a move toward prioritizing the player experience over hardware lock-in. But this statement is particularly noteworthy coming from Xbox because Microsoft has historically leaned heavily on its first-party exclusives to try to compete with PlayStation's stronghold on high-profile narrative-driven games. In the past, Xbox exclusives defined their platform and helped build a reputation even when they didn't dominate market share. However, in recent years, Xbox has moved away from using exclusives as a central selling point. They've released major franchises on multiple platforms, embraced PC and cloud gaming, and emphasized services like Game Pass over traditional console exclusive lock-in. By doing so, Xbox is essentially acknowledging that their platform doesn't need exclusives to attract players in the same way they once did, but at the same time, this strategy has arguably left them less differentiated in the console war. Without strong exclusives, Xbox titles can be enjoyed anywhere, but the Xbox console itself becomes less of a must-have. It's a double-edged sword. Accessibility is great for players, but in the context of the console war, it may have diluted Xbox's competitive edge. In her interview, Bond framed the shift as an evolution, pointing to the growing importance of community and cross-platform play. The focus is no longer on locking players into one ecosystem, but rather on ensuring they can play with their friends wherever they are. Xbox's strategy reflects this philosophy. They are trying to position themselves not just as a console manufacturer, but as a platform that spans multiple devices, whether that's PC, cloud, or console. This is a significant departure from the traditional console war mindset, where the strength of a platform was often measured by its exclusive library. By de-emphasizing exclusives, Xbox is betting that players will value access and convenience over proprietary content, and that the ecosystem, subscriptions, and services will drive engagement more than locked-in franchises. However, from my perspective, console exclusive games were always a key part of why gamers chose one system over another. Exclusives made consoles feel special, unique, and worth investing in. They were cultural touchstones that shaped conversations in gaming communities, drove hardware sales, and created an identity for the console itself. When Xbox started releasing all their major franchises across multiple platforms, they effectively removed that differentiation. Their once powerful selling point in the console war, exclusive games, was gone. And now, in a strange twist of irony, Xbox itself is considered antiquated in the context of the modern console competition. By prioritizing ubiquity and access over exclusive content, Xbox may have inadvertently surrendered the very element that historically gave consoles their edge in the marketplace. It's a fascinating evolution because while players benefit from the freedom to play anywhere and on any device, the console loses a defining characteristic that once set it apart from competitors like PlayStation or Nintendo. This shift also raises interesting questions about the future of the console war. If exclusives are truly antiquated, as Bond suggests, what will define the next generation of consoles? Will services, subscription models, cloud gaming, and cross platform communities be the new battlefield? Or will there be a resurgence of exclusives as a differentiator once companies realize that identity and cultural impact still matter? For Xbox, the move to de emphasize exclusives is part of a broader business strategy that emphasizes long term engagement, accessibility, and multi platform presence, but it comes at the cost of console specific prestige. It's no longer about owning an Xbox to play a particular game. It's about being part of the Xbox ecosystem wherever you can. From a business standpoint, this could be a brilliant move. From a competitive standpoint in the console wars, it's a gamble, because differentiation has historically been the lifeblood of these battles. At the end of the day, Bond's statement signals a fundamental change in how Xbox sees the industry and how gamers interact with games. While the statement may seem radical, it is rooted in observable trends. Cross-platform play is increasingly expected, gamers want to play with friends regardless of device, and cloud and PC gaming are growing. Yet, it also underscores the tension between accessibility and identity in console gaming. As someone who remembers how console exclusives shaped decisions and loyalty, it's hard not to feel a sense of nostalgia for the days when a must-have title could sway a gamer's choice and define the identity of a platform. Xbox has embraced the future, but in doing so, it's acknowledging that its own exclusives, once a core driver in the console wars, are no longer the defining feature they used to be. The statement that exclusives are antiquated is as much a reflection of Xbox's evolving strategy as it is a commentary on the broader shift in player expectations, but it also serves as a stark reminder that what once made a console indispensable may no longer hold the same sway. So, what does this all mean for gamers? It means more accessibility, more freedom, and more ways to play with friends. But it also means that the console you choose might be less about the exclusive games you can play and more about the services, subscriptions, and ecosystem that platform offers. In the end, Xbox's declaration about exclusives being antiquated highlights a fascinating crossroads in gaming history, one where convenience and access increasingly outweigh platform identity, yet the memory of what exclusives once represented still lingers. For me, it's bittersweet because these exclusives were a huge reason to pick a console over another, and now, ironically, Xbox has given up that edge in the console war while positioning themselves as a platform first company rather than a console first company. If you're interested in what this means for the future of the industry, the console wars, and your own gaming choices, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether console exclusives are truly antiquated or whether they still hold a unique place in gaming culture. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth gaming analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Game on.